All right, let's get into it. We are literally surrounded by logos every single day, right? But some of them have a way deeper story than you could ever imagine. Today, we're going to unpack the story behind one of the most powerful yet surprisingly little-known logos in the entire world of finance. So, if you've ever been to France, maybe grabbed a coffee, bought a metro ticket, anything, you have definitely seen this symbol. It's plastered on just about every shop window, it's on every bank card. It's so common, it almost becomes invisible. But this logo, the CB logo, it is so much more than just a sticker. It's the public face of a massive, nationwide financial machine. And that's really the big question here, isn't it? How on earth did this one little symbol, the simple CB, end up representing more than 2/3 of all the day-to-day spending in an entire country? Well, the answer is this incredible story of rivalry and cooperation and, you guessed it, national pride. To really understand the power packed into that logo, we have to go back. We've got to look at the blueprint. Back to a time before any unified system even existed, when trying to pay with a card was, frankly, a bit of a mess. So the story kicks off in 1967. You've got six major banks kind of dipping their toes in the water with payment cards. But the real game changer, that was 1984. This is the year Carte's Bancaires, or CB, is officially born. Its whole purpose was to force all these different banking systems to actually talk to each other. From there, it was just innovation after innovation. They pioneered chip cards in the 80s and then jumped on global standards to make sure they stayed competitive. Now, here's what's so fascinating about how CB started. It just completely flips that classic startup story on its head. You know, the whole two friends in a garage thing? Forget that. This was an alliance of giants. These were fierce competitors who knew that if they wanted to build a national payment network that worked for everybody, they had no choice but to work together. So how does this whole machine actually work? Because let's be real, a powerful logo is pretty useless if the engine behind it isn't even more powerful. Let's pull back the curtain and see how the CB system actually runs. Okay, it all boils down to this really unique French legal thing called a GIE. Now, don't worry about the fancy name. The easiest way to think about it is just a co-op for competing banks. It's basically a legal framework that lets rivals pool their money and their resources to work on a shared goal. In this case, running a super smooth nationwide payment system. And this is where CB lives, right in the center of that co-op. See, they don't issue the cards themselves, and they don't handle every single transaction. Instead, they're like the referee. They set the rules for the whole game, making sure that your bank can talk to the merchant's bank seamlessly and securely every single time. They basically run the entire ecosystem. And this chart really nails the key difference between CB and the huge global players we all know, like Visa and MasterCard. While they're publicly traded companies chasing global domination, CB is a bank-led co-op. It's totally focused on one thing: making the system work as efficiently as possible for France. They chose national control over global scale. That was the bet. So how did that bet on the home market pay off? Let's take a look at the sheer size of the footprint that tiny CB logo has stamped on the French economy. And I gotta tell you, the numbers, they're staggering. First up, 77 million. That's the number of cards in France that carried the CB logo. I mean, think about that. That's more cards than there are people in the whole country. And all those cards? Oh, they get used. A lot. We are talking about 14.5 billion transactions every single year. And when you add all of that up, you get an absolutely incredible 711 billion euros. That's how much cash flows through the CB system every year. It is a true engine of the French economy. And here's the visual that puts it all into perspective. That little CB logo is on the cards used for 65% of all daily spending in France. From your morning croissant to your late-night taxi, chances are CB is the one making it happen. But it's not just about being big. It's about being trusted. And honestly, this next number might be the most impressive of all. The fraud rate for CB transactions is a tiny 0.028%. I mean, that is ridiculously low. And that level of security is a huge reason why the system is so trusted and so deeply woven into daily life. Which brings us right back to where we started, the real meaning behind that symbol. Because when you see that logo, you're not just looking at a brand for a bank card. You are looking at a symbol for a much, much bigger idea. So here's the main takeaway. The CB logo represents a national strategy. It stands for payment sovereignty, a system controlled by France with its data centers on French soil. It stands for world-class security. It stands for resilience and the interoperability that brought an entire industry together. And it still stands for innovation today, pushing things like tap to pay and other new technologies. And all of this leaves us with one final and I think pretty provocative thought. In our world, a world totally dominated by global tech giants and borderless finance, what does the future really hold for a fiercely independent national champion like Carte's Bancaires? Can this model of sovereignty actually survive, or maybe even thrive, in the years to come? It's a question that goes way beyond just a logo and way beyond just France.